Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles.
Hey everybody, Greg Bedard here. No Nick Cattles at the moment. We might have gotten our streams crossed a little bit with this being the bye week and a little bit off and everything sort of delayed by a day. But I am here for you, as always. You are listening to the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles, proud member of the CLNS Media Network. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 in lineups when you play $5. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's start here with the news of the day that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft are finalists for the Hall of Fame. Both have advanced. For Kraft, this is the first time I think that he's advanced out of this sort of blue ribbon committee for contributors, and he is now the representative for that group. He is basically the nominee for that group. Belichick has come out of the coaches committee, so there is a chance that both of them could go in the Hall of Fame at the same time next August. Now, what's going to happen is, like, at this point, Belichick and Kraft, along with there are, I think, 3 nominees from the seniors committee, a maximum of 3. So, whether it's, Belichick and Kraft could both be shut out by the 3 players. That includes, I think, Kenny Anderson, the quarterback of the Bengals. There is I'm just looking for it right now. LC Greenwood, I think, is one of the other players. And let's see. Kenny Anderson, Roger Craig from the 49ers, and LC Greenwood. Those 3 joined Belichick and Kraft inside this year's group of 5. They proceed together to the final meeting of the full selection committee early next year, where the 50 selectors may cast up the 3 votes across the entire group. So the 3 players could get the 3 votes. It could be, one of either Kraft or Belichick, and what have you. I will say that I still maintain, I think that Belichick, so they need 80% of the 50. And I still think, as I've always thought, that Bill Belichick will get voted in. I'm sure there will be a couple of people that sort of hold grudges against Belichick, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him out. I mean, he has too much of a resume, not only as the Patriots head coach, but also the Giants defensive coordinator. I think he's going to get in. Kraft, I don't know. I mean, is there some sympathy about him not getting in? Could some people on the committee look at this and say, let's put Kraft and Belichick in at the same time? We know they are still butting heads. They do not like each other at this point. Could some things be put by the wayside if they both get voted in? I don't think either of them would love that if they go in at the same time, but I do think it's a way, say they do get in, and, Patriots will probably play in the Hall of Fame game next year. Almost certainly they will play in the Hall of Fame exhibition game if both of them get in. That means that the Patriots start training camp early, and they would have, I guess it would be 4 exhibition games now, and they will play in Canton, Ohio. I've been there a lot, as far as with ceremonies. I was there when Marino went in, the Dolphins played there. What I do think is interesting about all this is that if they do go in together and they both won't love it, I think that would get them to have some sort of clearing of the air meeting. I think Jonathan Kraft would be the one pushing sort of hard feelings, out of the ownership side. I think Robert, at his age, is fine letting bygones be bygones. What will happen is that, after the ceremony, there will be a big party, and if Belichick, if Kraft is willing to say, like, Bill, let's just have the party together. I'll pay for it. Invite whoever you want, that sort of thing. Maybe that gets these guys to a stage of détente, and they can go in together and everything can be hunky-dory as much as possible. So I could definitely see, that happening. As far as goings on with the Patriots, obviously they beat the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Hey, Greg.
Oh, hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. Little late start. A friend of mine made me unaware that we were going to be doing this today. So here I am. I'm glad I found out via email. I was like, oh man, I had to run upstairs, but here I am. To know Greg is to appreciate and love Greg. All right. I just heard you talk about the Hall of Fame. I think we both agree on that. Bill Belichick, first ballot guy, no doubt. Kraft should have been in years ago. It will be interesting to see the tension. Let's get to the headlines of the actual football game that we watched on Monday night. My first question to you is, how surprised were you that the Patriots came out the way they came out? Because I was going into this game, Greg, thinking, Monday Night Football, yes, that could give them a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a boost. But we're talking about two teams that had yet to have their bye week. Mm-hmm. The Patriots seemingly were limping in and did not have a great game against Cincinnati, as we all know. So how surprised were you that it looked like the way it looked on Monday?
I was pretty shocked. Now, we talked about it going in. I picked the Patriots, but not to cover in the game, just because I didn't know what to expect with, as you said, both teams on opposite ends of the spectrum. One was 10-2, one was 2-10. They're both going into their final game before the bye week. You never know what you get. Oftentimes you get teams that are just like, all right, let's climb the mountain one more time, and then we can get a rest. And maybe, the teams aren't the sharpest in the world. And I think that's what we saw out of the Giants. But we did not see that out of the Patriots. The Patriots looked like a team that was sprinting through the tape at the end line. I mean, even the way they finished the game defensively, Nick, I mean, there's less than 2 minutes left. The game's, out of reach for the Giants at that point in time. And the Patriots are bringing all-out blitzes and going after Jackson Dart. Just the physicality that they came with was, really incredible. It was something we haven't seen out of this team this entire year. So I was very surprised. I think I don't know. I've been asking people, I don't know what Vrabel said to these guys during the week to get them to play like this. Part of me wondered if, because, Vrabel, I wouldn't put anything past him that, maybe he challenged their manhood a little bit this week and, maybe told them like, nobody thinks you guys are tough enough or you can't finish this off. Like, that sort of thing. But I haven't heard anything about that. I think this is just a testament to Vrabel, the players, the coaches, the atmosphere that they have built, and it's a testament to them and representative of their 11-2 record that this team just keeps surprising us.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at that game on Monday night, and I tweeted this after the game. I think we need to appreciate what we saw on Monday night because of the circumstances. And look, the Giants were going through some of the same stuff, right? They're banged up. They hadn't had a bye. But honestly, man, I mean, you've played 12 straight games going into that Monday night game against the Giants, and you didn't play great against Cincy. You lost 2 starting offensive linemen the week prior. You find out that you're going to be down 2 of your best 3 interior defensive linemen, so the trenches are impacted. And I think many people have overlooked the impact of the trenches with this season and this team. And, we could have seen a Patriots roster that was like, it's been a great season, but we're just tired and we're going through it and we're missing guys. I think Monday was the brightest shining example of Mike Vrabel's culture, what he's building with the Patriots, and the fact that these guys are buying in, and they are buying in completely. The Christian Eliss hit. Mike Vrabel discussed it a lot after the game. He's discussed it this week on Greg Hill at NEI, and I know some people apparently in New York were very upset by the Christian Eliss hit on Jackson Dart. I'd imagine we both agree on this. It was completely legal, but what do you think the impact of that hit was? Was it as big of a deal as some have made it?
Oh, I think so. I think it sent a charge through, not only the players. I think on both sides. I think after that hit, you saw a Giants team and a quarterback that was a little bit tentative. That I think that the Giants, and look, they might be 2-10, but they played really competitively over the last month. I mean, I thought that they showed well on film. They've had leads that they've blown, but what we saw on Monday night was not the Giants team that we've seen over the previous month. And I think that the Giants all of a sudden were like, oh crap, we're punching up in weight class at
Yeah.
this point. And
Yeah.
the hit was completely clean. I didn't love the Gunnar Olszewski hit. It's not about Ellis's hit per se. I just don't like head contact in any league. It's more about the NFL and how they deal with these things. But the dart hit was absolutely completely clean. Dart was asking for it. We've seen Drake Maye against the Bucks. Similar situation. Drake Maye got lit up. He should have gotten out of bounds. Those guys need to get out of bounds. But I do think it's a big deal. I mean, Mike Giardi made a good point on BSJ where he equated that hit to when Brian Cox in 2001 nearly broke Jerome Pathon of the Colts in half, and that sort of announced the Patriots' place as a real deal team. And I think you could look at this hit similarly if the Patriots go on and play in a Super Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really personifies what Vrabel wants from his team. From the very beginning, we heard about effort and finish, of course, but we also heard about the violence on the defensive side, and that Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams, hopefully Terrell Williams is doing well. Both of those guys kept pushing this idea of we want to be violent. We want to be a violent football team within the rules, not go crazy here, but we want to make other teams feel the impact of playing us. And I think that hit above any other hit so far this year, again, really personified that idea. All right, Drake Maye. I don't know if you got to the accolade. Did you get to the accolade at the beginning of the show for Drake Maye?
No, because you know how I feel about these accolades.
Okay. To be fair, for Patriots fans to let you know, and people enjoy them, some people, not Greg, Drake Maye has earned his first career AFC Offensive Player of the Week award. Of course, he was 24 of 31 for 282, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He is the first Patriots quarterback, according to friend Mike Reese, to earn the honor since Brady did in 2017. I only bring that up, well, to let Patriots fans know, but also ask you, Greg. I was reading your notes as I was running up the stairs like Usain Bolt to get to this podcast. You said something along the lines of that you were as impressed with Drake Maye on Monday night as you've been impressed by him coming, up to this point. Why? What was impressive to you about Maye's game on Monday?
Just that he was in complete command. And this was the first time where, maybe if you squinted and it looks a little bit different, that you could see a lot of Brady in Drake Maye in this game in terms of he was in complete command at the line of scrimmage. We talked about, the Bengals did some really nice things against him and flustered him. They had some free runners, things that he wasn't prepared for. He didn't realize guys were, not going to be picked up by the protection, and it sort of surprised them, and it led to some iffy plays. But as usual with Drake Maye, he takes that film, goes over it with Josh McDaniels, and then suddenly a weakness turns into a strength. And that's what we saw in this game, where he knew exactly what was going on. He knew pretty much exactly what coverage he was going to get. I would use after the Ben Brown tackle hold, it was like 2nd and 22, and he sees that the Giants are going to be in cover 4, and Kayshon Boutte hitches up his route perfectly on time. The Hunter Henry play where he sort of like pump faked the guy in the flat.
Yeah.
He knew that he was going to get some version of, I think there was a mix up in their coverage, but I do think it was like Tampa 2. So he understood where the weakness, he knew he had to hold that flat defender so that Hunter Henry could get open. He understood and was completely comfortable with an entire new left side of the line. He knew when he knew when Vederian Lowe was going to have help. He knew when he didn't. He knew when sort of a quick pass was called and he needed to stay within the system and get rid of the ball and not hold on to the ball. He was terrific. I mean, I really had to nitpick in this game.
Yeah.
For the first time to really find minus plays. In the first half, there was that one throw to TreVeyon Henderson in the left flat, in the red zone where it was behind him and low and, caused basically like a no gain on that play where if he puts it on his outside shoulder, Henderson catches it, maybe he's got a chance to nearly get in. In the second half, there was one where he threw deep, incomplete to Kayshon Boutte. I thought he had Hunter Henry as a better option underneath. There was the throw slightly behind Hunter Henry on the goal line. That was nearly, Collins Aikman on the telecast said, it could have been a pick six or whatnot. That wasn't placed perfectly correctly. And then I think on that same drive, there was a third down. He scrambled. He got hit. He kind of bailed on that a little bit early. And ended up taking an unnecessary hit. So that was it for the game. I mean, nothing major. That was the only pressure that he brought on himself. Despite having Brian Burns, of course, Abdul Carter sat out the first quarter for whatever reason. And by that time it was 17-0. I mean, the game might have been different if Abdul Carter played from the beginning because he was pretty much a menace in that game. I had him for like 5 pressures in the final 3 quarters. So, but Drake this was a game where it just like he knew exactly what to expect. He delivered, he was on time, he was just masterful. And I was extremely impressed with him in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the plays that you mentioned are the ones that stood out to me. I didn't necessarily give him a minus as I was watching the film yesterday. I didn't give him a minus on the ball that was, just behind Hunter Henry on the goal line, but you could. Again, that's a nitpick, as you mentioned.
Right.
Don't quite remember. I do remember the bailing out early as well. Another play was, I'm still trying to figure out how much of the responsibility at times when you have a free blitzer just coming at Drake Maye. There was one, I think it was a sack where there was a free rusher where I didn't really know whether to dock him a half a point, or to dock him at all. But yeah, the TreVeyon Henderson play in the flat in the red zone and the Hunter Henry being wide open instead of throwing a deep ball into double coverage to Kayshon Boutte were the 2 ones that really stood out to me. And other than that, I personally had him for, I think, 8 or 9 positive plays. I thought there were, a number of times that he made plays, maybe not as spectacular consistently through the game. He's been so good. This is all relative. Where if you watch May, it's like, some games he has 4 or 5 plays where you're like, oh my God. It wasn't necessarily that. There were maybe 1 or 2. I mean, the Kayshon Boutte touchdown throw was a good throw. The Kyle Williams touchdown throw was ridiculous. The pump fake, as you said, where he hits Henry for a chunk play was nice. There was another play to Mac Hollins where he anticipated pretty well and he hit Hollins. The 2nd and 21, I thought Kayshon Boutte's route was excellent on that 2nd and 21 to get him open. And there was a play earlier. We all look at the one pump fake where he hits Henry for that chunk play, but there was actually a play earlier in the game where he did the same kind of thing, where he pulled, I think he pulled the linebacker or safety in by just this slight little pump. And I forget who he threw it to instead, but it was a positive play.
It was Henry. It was Henry. It was in the red zone, and he moved the linebacker and then hit Henry, I think, down to like the 5-yard line.
Yeah, and you could really see it from the end zone cam, the pump fake. It's just it's very subtle, but he did it twice, and both times it opened up Henry even more than he was open to begin with. So yeah, I thought he was really good. All right, we got more thoughts on this, but first, Greg wants to tell you his thoughts on Prize Picks.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It is the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchup, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. I love sitting down with the app during the game. I will be doing that this weekend with the bye week. You get to watch. There's a bunch of really good football matchups this weekend. Of course, you have conference championship games. It's going to be awesome. I know Nick's going to be taking it all in because that's what he does.
Yes, I
new
have no
feature
life.
alert.
I will be drinking beer, watching sports. That's my life, everybody.
There you go. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Is your fantasy season already over? My team is cooked. Yeah, they are. But with Prize Picks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week, pick your favorite players, and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft is required. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Good old Prize Picks. We love them. Don't forget to, if you're listening, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast, like, and leave a review. For those watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel. And $50 for BSJ for the year. Bedard, Giardi, they both do great work, but they all at that website do fantastic work. Check them out. John Corrales talking about your lovable, huggable Boston Celtics. Ugo Gonzalez, Jordan Walsh, Josh Minot. Let's go. Nimi Ishketa. Somehow, some way, they're beating good teams. Joe Mazzulla deserves credit. All right, that's my 2 seconds on the Celtics. We gotta move quick here because I believe Greg is going to Felger and Mass today. So
yes,
we'll run through quickly here. Offensive line, how they do? I was very impressed by what I saw.
Yeah, I thought they were. I thought they were really good. Again, the Abdul Carter thing definitely factored into that. You know what you were talking about earlier with Drake Maye and some of the pressure. There's often, depending on if it's a coverage sack and it's not really Maye's fault or the line's fault, just nobody's open. Like say there's a 2-man route and it's just covered, or if the other team just gets you with like a free rusher, they bring one more, then you're blocking. I don't put any fault on that on anybody. So in this game, I had 2 sacks, a hit, and a hurry on the team. So it was nobody's fault. I mean, Vidarian Lowe, I had him for 2 hurries. Ben Brown had 1. Garrett Bradbury had 1. That was it. I thought, the right side of the line was tremendous. I think that Onwenu, it was announced as Morgan Moses took off that Hunter Henry touchdown. I think it was actually Onwenu. I still think it was a ticky-tack sort of bullcrap call, but I thought it was terrific. Josh McDaniels, as we talked about going in, there's nobody better at knowing what he has, what the opponent has. How am I going to get through this game? And how am I going to deal with it? After the game, looking through my, stats service, I get this package from the game and it gives me all sorts of different breakdowns. Josh McDaniels used 8 different personnel packages in this game, including, Thayer Munford as a extra, tight end, tackle, lineman, what have you.
Yep.
And then you look over at the Giants and Mike Kafka, and he used 2, 11 personnel and 12 personnel. It's just, you talk about chess and checkers. It was on display Monday night as far as offensive coordinators, play callers, just their level of expertise. If you have injuries to overcome or shortcomings to overcome, for my money, there's no better offensive coordinator to deal with that than Josh McDaniels. He's been doing it his whole career. So I was very, very impressed. I thought this was the best offensive line performance on the whole, I think, of the season, certainly pass blocking. But a lot of that had to do with Maye and McDaniels. It wasn't just the offensive line.
Totally agree with you. I mean, I thought the offensive line was really good given the circumstances. I thought Moses was really good. I thought Onwenu was really good. So I would agree with that assessment of the right side of the line. McDaniels is a boss. I'm a fan. You know that, Greg. You're a fan of his work. I think he's tremendous at what he does. I fought for him to be the OC on this team. I thought he was the right guy to be the OC, and he has proven to be the right guy. I thought he was excellent on Monday night. Mike Kafka, look, we should study that game to really appreciate how badly somebody could manage a football game in several different ways. I have no idea what the hell they were doing. They were punting when they should have gone for it, going for it when they should have punted. My brain was scrambled. If Kafka thought he had any shot at having the job, he lost that opportunity on Monday night. He was wretched. But I thought McDaniels was really good.
Yeah, Nick, you know what watching the Giants and look, let's give the Patriots credit. Like, they made them look like that. Like I said before, they haven't looked like that in the last month.
Correct.
But they made the Giants look like the Patriots last year with Drake Maye. Just like completely rudderless. What are we doing? What are the plans on either side of the ball? How are they trying to help out their players? Like, it just reminded me, I mean, not to go for it on 4th and 1 before halftime was just, they should have fired him at halftime. Just be like, you need to leave. Because they had a chance to, I think was it 27-7? It was 27-7 at that point. They get the ball to start the second half. Like, you go down, you get a field goal. It's 27-10. Maybe you come out. Now maybe you score a touchdown. Maybe it's 27-17. We have a game. And instead, he punts, and the Patriots turn it around, easily go down, get a field goal. Now it's 30-7. I mean, it was just a joke. And it just reminded me of just look at how different these two organizations are at this point.
I mean, that punt decision was, again, it should be studied. It should be, I don't know, put in some kind of football museum as to what not to do in a football game. It was brutal. One more note on the offensive line. What I thought was pretty cool by McDaniels, and they haven't done it, I don't think, much, if at all, this year, was they did play with an unbalanced line a few times where they actually slid Bedard low to right tackle. And, you had like Hunter Henry as almost playing your left tackle. It was really, really cool using the versatility of the offensive lineman. Again, I thought it was very, very smart stuff. The quick throws, getting it out of Drake Maye's hands quickly, especially early in the game, was something they absolutely should have done and did do. They had some play action out of heavy personnel, which worked. It was just a really smart plan. TreVeyon Henderson, I know you and I have gone back and forth on this, and I think I said this last week where, inside runs, he doesn't have the best vision, and he doesn't get the most out of what he can get the most out of. I did think, though, Greg, and I tweeted this in real time, that fourth quarter drive where the Patriots got the run game going a little bit and Henderson got going, I thought that was some of the best, maybe the best inside running that he has done all year long. He had a cutback it kind of in the middle of traffic, and we talked about, not finding cutback lanes, not bouncing things out. I thought he actually did that multiple times on that final drive, and it gave me a little bit of confidence that he is figuring some things out. What about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. I was very frustrated with him basically until that. Not that he didn't have some good plays. He had a 13-yard run, I think 11-yard run in the first half that were, back to back. The first one was basically like all scheme. I mean, they were moving people like around all over the place and caught the Giants napping, and then he just used his speed to get the outside. I know he can do that. It's, if he's going to take the next step, it's the inside running, and he had some plays where he left some meat on the bone. And then that drive, you're right. I mean, he broke a couple tackles, the 26-yarder, he made a guy miss. Like, it's there. I don't know if I'm ready to say, like, all right, well, he's going to build on that next week, because we've seen some of this in flashes. I just, from talking to some people around the team, they really like TreVeyon Henderson. They think he's going to be a good player. They think that it's been a big transition for him going from Ohio State's run game and how they do things and how, the hash marks and all that. Like, it's just a different game, and it's just going to take him time to adjust. And they're looking for big things probably for him for next season. But there's no question that he can be a home run hitter, and they'll probably need him to hit a home run or two in the postseason once they get there.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, I thought Kayshon Boutte and Stephon Diggs were both terrific at times. Kayshon Boutte was awesome, I thought, on Monday night. Mm-hmm. Not only the routes, not only the catches that we saw, but I thought he worked his ass off as a blocker. And shout out to Stephon Diggs. He's not always perfect. We can't say the same about Pop Douglas, who I thought had a rough night in the run game. But, Stephon Diggs, 3 catches, 26 yards. And if you go back, just watch the drive Greg and I were just talking about with TreVeyon Henderson. On two or three occasions on that one drive, Diggs is getting after it. He's throwing good blocks, and they're downfield. Sometimes they're within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and he hasn't always done that this year. We've talked about that. Diggs has been, he is selective about when he's going to throw blocks. But on Monday night, he had a little bit of extra spice to him in the run game, and I think that speaks a lot to his buy-in. Again, 3 catches, 26 yards. He could have been, crying and in a fetal position. I'm not getting the football. But he threw some good blocks on Monday night, which I thought showed a decent amount for him. All right, CLNS Media Network, behind-the-scenes content, NBA History Channel. Check it out. And again, Prize Picks, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Couple more questions before we bid you adieu, Greg. The Patriots defense, they blitzed early. Then they cooled off on the blitz for a stretch, for a long stretch. But late in the game, they started to send the house, especially on that final possession, making life miserable for Jackson Dart. Were you overall okay with the approach defensively?
Yeah, I'd like to see them do that more. I do worry, Nick, about, and I think this is going to be a constant worry and something we've talked about before, their need to bring blitzes to get pressure. Their 4-man pass rush just isn't going to get the job done.
Yeah.
So you worry, but in terms of if they think they have an opponent, a weak opponent, and they thought they did, Andrew Thomas at left tackle is really good for the Giants. Everybody else their interior offensive line isn't very good. They sort of, shoved them around. It was good to see guys like Corey Durden, moving people. But yeah, against weaker opponents, I want to see them do that. It did lead them a little bit shorthanded at times in the back end. There were, of course, the coverage bust, on the Slayton touchdown. They busted that 3 different ways. Dart could have thrown it to 3 different guys who were wide open for touchdown on that. And then also, you remember the play where Jalen Hawkins broke up the pass in the end zone?
Yeah.
That was actually severely underthrown by Jackson Dart. I think Hawkins busted that coverage as well, kind of put Christian Gonzalez in no man's land. And if Dart throws that ball better, it's a walk-in touchdown, but he just threw it late and not far enough. So I like it, but I'm afraid of it in terms of the amount of pressure. I don't know if they can get away with that against all teams.
One last note. I thought, aside from the busted coverage, which, it is what it is, 1 or 2 of those, I did think on the balance of the night, both Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis were really good. I thought Marcus Jones was really good in the second half. This kind of, reminded me of all right, this is what I expected from this defense going into the season with those 2 outside corners and Marcus Jones playing inside. I expected a lot from this secondary, and I thought Monday night they were really good. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, I am still hoping that maybe in these bigger matchup with the Bills and the Ravens coming up in the postseason, that they're going to turn those guys loose to play a lot more man coverage. And that will free up some other things that this defense can do as far as limiting some of their weaknesses. So I'm hopeful.
All right. You got time to give us a couple of names, good and bad, before you run?
Yeah, let's go through that. So obviously Drake Maye. I thought Stevenson was really good in this game. He had a couple runs where he left some meat on the bones, but he had a couple pretty good blitz pickups. Of course, his catch and run when he was completely left uncovered was a bust. Let's see. I thought Owenu and Moses. I thought the offensive line was really good, but Owenu and I thought Moses was outstanding. I had him for 4+ run blocks in the game. He did give up 2 stuffs, but for a lineman to have 4+ run blocks in a game is highly unusual. Kayshon Boutte, like you said, 2 of his 4 plus plays for me were run blocks.
Yeah.
Diggs, the 4th down. He's really stepping into to see him in motion and then settle into zones. It's becoming very like Edelman and Welker like at this point. Hunter Henry was terrific in this game, other than I thought he had 1 drop that cost him in the red zone, but it is what it is. I thought the defensive line was outstanding for the most part. Chason made plays, Corey Durden, Barmore, decent second half, nothing in the first half. I thought Anthony Jennings was really good in this game. Farmer made plays in this game. At linebacker, Christian Eliss, of course, with the fumble and the hit on Dart, but he was partially responsible for the Devin Singletary touchdown along with Jalen Hawkins. Christian Gonzalez, I thought, was best of the cornerbacks, and I thought Woodson was pretty good in this game. I did not think Jalen Hawkins was good in this game.
No,
I thought with the personal foul, he factored into a touchdown. He had a bust where it should have been another touchdown. He also factored into the 26-yard run. He was way late getting over to help out and be the last line of defense. Anybody else I have down in this game? Not really. I mean, that's really well. I mean, let's also toss in Behringer for his Shankopotamus and also Borregales, who has been terrific, but he missed a field goal.
Oh, come on. He was like 4 or 5. I'm not going to get on Borregales, but Behringer's been all over the joint. All over the joint. By the way, quick update here before you bounce, Greg. The Chiefs, Andy Reid, just announced that Josh Simmons, their left tackle, had surgery on his wrist. He's been placed on IR. So that is obviously not going to help the Chiefs, as they might need to win out now that they're 6-6. So, all right, we bid you adieu. Greg's got to go. I'm going to go have some lunch. Everybody be well. Greg, let's get this on record. When would you like to do a podcast next with me?
Possibly Friday.
All right. We'll see. I'll look at my magic 8 ball and see if we can make that happen. Everybody be well. We'll talk to you soon.